welcome back to Family Tanks.
A place where families can learn about nature through keeping interesting and exotic pets.
So we have me, my name is Zosia.
I'm Scott, and this is Lucius the snake. So today we're going to talk about our top 5 best ways
to convince your parents
to let you have a snake or a lizard or something, a pet reptile.
Yes.
Okay, so number 1. What's the number 1 way to convince your parents?
I want to learn about biology or science. So
Exactly. So here's an important thing, and this goes for both parents and kids. It's not just keeping a pet, right?
No.
It's about learning about the biology of the pet, learning about the natural way of the pet, learning about nature and to appreciate nature. And that's a really important lesson. And not only is that an important thing to consider when you want to keep a pet, but it is something to discuss because there's real benefit to this. Zosia is learning all about reptiles and the natural world, and she's done all sorts of research on the environments in sub-Saharan Africa where ball pythons come from because she has a pet ball python.
Yes, I did school projects on them.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, so it's a tremendous way to support that. So that is our number 1 way to convince your parents to let you have a pet reptile.
Yes.
Number 2.
Well, they're easy to care for, like versus a dog or a cat. A dog and a cat are much more effort.
That's absolutely
take them
right.
on walks, pick up their poop.
No, we none of that, right? Well, I mean, you got to pick up their poop a little bit, but it's not a big deal.
No.
How often do we have to take Lucius out for a walk?
Never.
Pretty much never, right? Well, never. I mean, we take him out to handle him because we want to, but he never has to go out for a walk. They're just very easy. They're largely self-contained. There are maintenance things involved, but it's very simple for a single person to do. And because snakes are reptiles, and snakes in particular eat so infrequently, even as a baby, which is the most frequently he will eat, he only eats every 5 days or so.
Yeah, super fast.
That's not a lot of work.
Well, if you're feeding him a lot, like a bigger chunk of food,
You can power feed a snake when they're young to grow them, but it's not the best thing in the world. But generally speaking, they're very, very easy to care for. So that's something definitely worth bringing up if you're trying to convince your parents to let you have a pet animal. Or I should say a pet reptile or snake or lizard or something. So, number 3.
There's no allergies.
No allergens.
Like, no. Not
Exactly.
Actually, I know a lot of people who are allergic to cats.
Or dogs or birds or anything
Have you ever
like
heard
that.
of someone allergic to
A snake allergy? Not a
No.
thing. It's not a thing. Yeah, so that's an awesome thing to consider as well because it's easy. So either if you have an allergy and want a pet and say, oh, we can't get a pet because of your allergies.
Snake is open.
And the other great option is, of course, if somebody in your family is allergic or has severe allergies to something, reptiles are excellent because
lizards they're great too.
They're totally allergen free, so that is a great option. So let's go on to our Number 4. They are quiet.
Yes.
And self-contained. Yes. They don't make sounds. They don't bark ever. They don't scratch at the door. Snakes in particular. You know how much sound Lucius makes?
Let's tell an example.
Here. Listen. If you listen carefully, you're gonna hear Lucius making lots of sound. What was that, Lucius? Oh. Did he just talk? Dun, dun, dun! No, snakes don't make any sound at all. You know, people like lots of different kinds of animals for good reasons, but dogs, they bark. Cats will meow, they'll scratch at things and stuff like that, right?
I have a cat that doesn't meow.
Birds, they're great as long as you want to hear all the time. Snakes make no sound. Most lizards make no sound. They're self-contained to a large extent. You know, it's fun to take them out and handle, but they're in an appropriate size enclosure, which is generally not super huge, no matter what you're talking about.
This is the size.
That's Lucius's starter tank for right now. Now, he will have to go bigger into one this size when he gets older. But even that's
a very small space.
36 inches by 18 inches by about 17 inches.
Yeah, versus the cat or dog.
That's it.
That goes around the
You
whole
could
house.
go a little bigger if you want. We may go a little bigger. But again, we're not talking about a huge space. So they're self-contained and they're quiet. And then our last and possibly the most important option when you want to convince your parents to let you have a pet reptile is
low-cost options.
They're low cost. Well, some are, yeah,
Right,
like as
right.
you said, low cost options.
Yes, like the piebald. They're pretty expensive.
Exactly.
options.
So we went to the reptile show, right?
Morphs.
And there's lots of different morphs, which are basically, it's a fancy name for color varieties of
Yes.
ball pythons. And
It's like-
most of the reptile show were different morphs of
But
ball
they're like, they
pythons.
can be really beautiful. Like
And-
the stormtrooper, one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's all
Just like-
white, and there's all sorts of crazy looking ones that
Yeah,
can be
but like,
over $1,000.
This
But
one,
Lucius, how much did we pay for Lucius?
$30.
$30
Look
from
how
a
beautiful
breeder.
this guy is.
And he's gorgeous. He's absolutely gorgeous. This is natural coloration, which I don't know about you, but I personally
It's one of my
like
favorites.
animals that look like they do in nature the most.
Yes.
And we feed him a rat pinky at this age,
And they're pretty
once every
cheap.
5 days, and they're about
They can be like
$2.50 every 5 days.
So that's pretty
And
little of the
you don't have to feed them live food.
no.
Most
Well,
reptiles these days,
some
particularly
will.
snakes that are eating rodents, will eat thawed frozen rodents, which are just super easy to deal
But
with.
there are some snakes that will like have unlucky.
Some will be a little bit more picky, that's true. But then
Yes.
even if you're talking about other lizards, you've got a lot of choices. Bearded dragons will eat both insects as well as vegetable material, so you can actually make them salads.
But like
Which is
some
easy.
will eat like crickets, but like they're not as. I think I'd rather feed crickets live versus than a live mouse or rat.
Correct. The bugs are easy to deal with, but it's one of those things that it's low cost. There's really nothing that's too expensive about keeping some of your basic good beginner variety of reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, you can get super expensive.
You can.
There are reptiles that are just uber expensive and very hard to care for. And there's lots of top 10 lists on YouTube about good beginner reptiles, and all of those are recommended in part because it's a low cost option.
Yes.
So those are our top 5 best
Best
ways to convince your parents to
parents.
let you have a pet snake or lizard.
Yes,
And
homes with everyone.
We think we'd like to see more gift certificates for snakes under the Christmas tree this year, right?
Yeah, we want more snakes having.
Or maybe
wonderful
a
homes.
different snake for each one of the 8 days of Hanukkah. You could get 8 snakes.
Wow.
If you sell it right, it could happen.
You have 24 days of Christmas advent calendar, a snake for every 24.
24 snakes. Okay, we'll talk about that. All right. But thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe, right?
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
All right, we'll see everybody later. Bye.
Bye.